Weeks. It's the appointed time, and we have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the panel on security. As you know, the chief executive today announced that the consultation period for Article 23 related legislation will begin today, and I'm sure council members are very passionate about the issue. As we know earlier, there has already been a consensus on the related legislation. That's why we are adjusting the duration of the meeting today. We have had the approval of the president and consideration of other members. Today's meeting is going to end at 3:15 in the afternoon. The agenda item to be discussed today is the law and order situation of Hong Kong in 2023. At 3:30 in the afternoon today, we'll have a joint meeting with the panel on administration of justice and legal services on the Article 23 consultation. The agenda has been sent to members. The first agenda item is information papers issued since the meeting on 5th of December 2023. The first one is information paper on 2023 implementation rules for amending the implementation rules for Article 43 of the law of PRC on safeguarding national security in the HKSAR provided by the administration. The second information paper is the information paper on inclusion of new detention center or quarters at the new immigration headquarters and the Hong Kong International Airport as places of detention provided by the administration. The third paper is the information paper on proposed retitling of aircraft technician grade of the government flying service provided by the administration. The Secretariat has asked members for comments on the two pieces of information papers, the letter 2. And by the deadline, no comments have been received. That's why the panel will not follow up on the two information papers. The administration will introduce the amended orders and amended regulations to the council for negative vetting in due course, so we can discuss such items in future if necessary, but I'm sure you know these are just technical amendments. Agenda item number 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. On 23rd of January, the Deputy Chairman and I have met with the Secretary for Security to discuss the work plan for this session. We have incorporated some items raised by members at the last meeting. So we have consolidated the items with those already on the list of outstanding items for discussion. For details, please refer to the list. The next regular meeting will be held on the 27th of February, Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. On that day, we are to discuss two items. One, major information technology projects to continue enhancing digital policing. It has incorporated what Mr. Shen Hailong proposed at the last meeting, that is the capability to tackle smart tech crimes. The second item to be discussed is the proposed creation of one supernumerary post of Assistant Commissioner in the Customs and Excise Department for 2 years to handle affairs relating to the World Customs Organization. It is a funding proposal. All council members will be invited to join the discussion of this item. Do members have any comments? If not, these are what we'll discuss at the next meeting. Also, the Deputy Chairman and I, when we met with the Secretary for Security, we have talked about local visits for this session. We plan to focus on getting a better understanding of the work on combating deception, emergency response, and counterterrorism, and the operations of the new Immigration Department headquarters. We will arrange for a timetable in due course, and we will notify members as soon as possible once we have such plans. Agenda item number 3, the law and order situation of Hong Kong in 2023. We will now invite those from the Hong Kong Police Force to come inside the conference room. In attendance are Mr. Raymond Siu, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Keith Yip, Director of Crime and Security of the Police Force, and Mr. Terry Chung, Senior Superintendent of Crime Wing Headquarters, Hong Kong Police Force. If you wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. Right now, we have 8 members who wish to speak. Dr. Chow Man Kong, Edmund Wong, Mr. Edmund Wong, Dr. Johnny Mr. Yu Park Leung, Mr. Loi Tong Kwok, Mr. Lee Chen Kung, Ms. Elizabeth Court, and Mr. Shen Hai Leung. Any other members who wish to speak? If you wish to speak, please press the request to speak button as soon as possible. And for those in the complex who have yet to come inside the conference room, please come inside and press the request to speak button as soon as possible. I will soon draw the line. The Commissioner will first give a briefing, and then I'll set a time limit for members to speak. We have very tight time constraints today. If members can't speak during today's meeting, please submit written submissions, and the police force can give a written response after the meeting. Please be brief, Mr. Siu, due to time constraints. Thank you. The overall crime figure of Hong Kong in 2023 was 90,276. That is an increase of 20,228. When compared with 2022, the overall detection rate was 31.1%. It was noteworthy that in the first half of 2022, amid the epidemic, a number of traditional crime figures dropped to a particularly low level. Some even hit a record low. As the society resumed normalcy in 2023, most traditional crimes recorded an increase when compared with 2022. But quite a number of them registered a fairly significant decrease when compared with 2018, the year before the outbreak of the black cat violence and the epidemic. For some traditional crime figures in 2023, they are relatively low. The detection rates have hit a record high, especially for arson. For burglary, it's second high regarding the detection rate. Some prominent cases of jewelry shops and watch shops, the detection was very quick. I'll go into details in due course. I'll first talk about deception, and then I'll talk about several prominent types of crimes. We have 39,824 cases. It takes up approximately 40% of the total number of cases. It has seen a 43% increase compared with 2022. The amount involved was approximately $900 million. As we have development in cross-boundary payment, we have seen globally a trend of increasing number of deception cases. To tackle this trend, we have stepped up enforcement, intercepted fraudulent payments, and upstream scam intervention. We have also implemented online and offline publicity work to raise public's anti-deception awareness. Regarding enforcement, the police have tackled the proxy accounts used by these syndicates. We believe that tackling this part of the chain would deal with the issue. We have arrested approximately 4,980 people compared with 2022. It is up 7 95%, and many of them are these proxy account holders. We have also launched multiple tools for the public use. We have implemented Scam Measure Plus before, and in February last year, we have launched a mobile application of the Scam Meter to let the public know about the pitfalls. We have recorded 13 million hits and approximately 360,000 alerts were issued. The Scam Meter has now been connected to the FPS to issue suspicious proxy ID alerts. And the anti-deception hotline 1-822 will continue to help the public. We have received 52,000 calls last year, a 37% increase from 2022, and we have intercepted $1.29 billion in funds. We have to rely on other stakeholders in the work to combat deception. In May of last year, we have the early warning program. We have established the Anti-Deception Alliance late last year in November. And as I said earlier, we have launched the FPS Suspicious Proxy ID Alert Mechanism. In education and publicity, we will continue to disseminate relevant information through multiple channels. In homicides, we have 28 homicides in 2023, a drop of 2 cases compared with 2022. 9 cases involve domestic or family violence. Only 1 case has yet to be detected, but the police are making every effort to bring the suspect to justice who has absconded. Wounding and serious assault, there are 3,636 cases of wounding and serious assault. It is an increase of 22 cases when compared with 2022. Many are related to domestic violence. It is a rise of 92 cases from 2022, but the total number of cases when compared with 2018, it is a significant drop. We have a pretty significant detection rate, however. We have 308 cases that are triad-related compared to before. It is a 20% drop. Regarding robbery, it is also a significant drop. We have a record high detection rate of 83% for robbery cases. In 2023, there were neither robbery cases involving genuine fire guns or stun guns. For the cases of goldsmith, watch and jewelry shop robberies, all of them were detected and all things that were robbed were recovered. We have met with the trade earlier to provide them with some advice. Burglary cases, there were 1,354 cases of burglary. It is also the second lowest on record. Compared to record low in 2022, there was an increase, but compared with 2018, that was a decrease of 221 cases. We have arrested 386 people. For thefts, we have 23,135 cases of theft. We have an increase of approximately 27%. All major types except taking conveyance without authority recorded an increase. Most involved cases where the victims did not pay attention to their goods. For blackmail cases, there were a total of 2,659 cases of blackmail. That is an increase of 833 cases. Most of victims were students. There were 67 cases of rape. only 2 of them were not detected. Most of them were committed by the non-strangers. For indecent assault, there were 1,162 indecent assault cases, an increase of 209 cases when compared with 2022. The detection rate was 78%. For serious drug offenses, most of them we have seized. We have arrested 48 people. That is a 50% drop. And we have 36 people. Regarding child-related cases, there were 222 less. The detection rate was 95%. In the past 20 years, the detection rate was the highest. We have conducted multiple large-scale operations, some operations between June to September, which involved police from both Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau. There were 3,041 youths who were arrested. Most of them were involved in deception cases. There were also multiple cases of shop thefts and miscellaneous thefts. We are concerned about the situation of many youths being involved. We have worked with schools. We have also worked with the Education Bureau to compile materials for students. And for 2 consecutive years, we have published relevant guidelines for teachers. Ever since the implementation of national security law as at end of December 2023, we have arrested 290 people. 60% of them have been prosecuted. That's it for my report today. Thank you.
I welcome members to ask questions. Thank you, CP. A total of 10 members will ask questions. 3 minutes question and answer included. Please be succinct. Dr. Chow Man Kong, please. Thank you, Chairman. Just now, we've heard from the Commissioner of Police about the traditional crime figures. There's been a marked decrease. Regarding scams, I don't agree that the police did not do anything, at least for anti-deception promotions such as outside road harbor crossing. There were advertisements or banners posted. There are also seminars held at universities regarding anti-deception. But e-deception has been on the rise. There are many different ploys. E-shopping 23%, investment scams 16%. These 2 are the major types of scam cases. We need to know what targeted measures could be put in place. In Singapore, there is a safety scoring system. Can we draw reference from Singapore? We can work together with CEDB to build a platform. We can have a whitelist or blacklist system whereby citizens have reference. As long as there are any suspicions, citizens should not proceed with the transactions. The Fraud and Money Laundering Intelligence Task Force has been up and running for 2 months. What are the results? Any results to share with us? In Hong Kong, there are some 112,000 people working in the IT trade. Working in the IT trade. So how can we train these talents at university so that police officers can heighten the awareness in this regard in order to curb the rise of these cases? These cases are on the rise. The police force has been working on it, but then we are seeing all the more different ploys in the market. CP, thank you, Dr. Chow. I will not repeat the figures in relation to scam cases or deception cases. Among the 39,000 scam cases last year, for e-shopping fraud, these cases took the lion's share, standing at 8,950 cases, whereas investment fraud cases accounted for 6,330. Since 2022 September, we've been working with OFCA and other operators. We've set up a task force. On a regular basis, we do have meetings. We focus on some scam cases. That is how we can combat these scam cases. So there is an overall decrease in telephone deception cases. On collaboration with Singapore, we have been holding exchanges with the Singaporean government. Anti-Deception Coordination Center, ADCC, we have this center in Hong Kong. Singapore does have their own as well. We've been learning from each other to see how we can make enhancements. Regarding the whitelist, as Dr. Chow mentioned, we have been working with the CEDB and the OFCA to see how we can proceed with the relevant work. Well, CP, excuse me, I need to be strict with time. I believe members will continue to ask other questions. Please be succinct. Mr. Eamon Wong. Thank you, Chairman. Many departments are concerned about mitigating loss, such as the FPS Suspicious Indicator Alert and Confirmation Mechanism. I'd like to ask the CP, ever since the setup of the ADCC, what are the results? How many scam cases have been intercepted or prevented so that some victims do not have to suffer losses? Some countries also targeted some scam cases, and there have been extradition examples. What is the follow-up of the police force on the legal enforcement? Well, on law enforcement, has the police force extradited any person from overseas to Hong Kong? Regarding the Anti-Deception Alliance, it was set up in November 2023. Banks have been intercepting payments. 70% of the time there has been a decrease in the time that was taken by 70%. We can see the results. On the 26th of November last year, the FPS Suspicious Indicator Alert and Confirmation Mechanism was put in place. From the 26th of November to late December, a total of 148,000 alerts were issued. So, on average, 4,100 alerts were issued on a daily basis. So the suspicious transactions totaled some $180 million. We have been working together with the police force in other countries as well as the mainland. There have been joint operations apart from law enforcement actions on intelligence exchange. We have been in close liaison. In the past year, there were many successful examples where we cracked many fraud syndicates. Next, Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to speak on technology crimes as well as cyber crimes as well. I need to commend the efforts of the police force for what they have done. We have all seen the results. There were virtual asset scams, and the victims are kind of worried. Have you taken stock of your experience? How much time is needed for you to detect a case? What are the difficulties when arresting the mastermind behind these scam cases? Will the police force issue red arrest warrant in order to track these masterminds? Thank you, Dr. Johnny Ng. You mentioned scam cases about virtual assets, and I believe JPEGs is high on the agenda. Let me tell you the progress. In 2023, in relation to the case of JPEGs, we received 2,636 reports. The amount involved is $1.6 billion. As for cash, as we have been in contact with 2,300 victims. We have already taken statement from 1/3 of these victims. As of now, 69 people have been arrested. For assets frozen, it totals some $200 million. In the future, regarding our investigation, these cases are very complicated, and they also involve a large number of victims. We've devoted quite a lot of resources. Different units within the crime wing are also working hard on cracking these cases. We'll continue to take statements from victims, and above all, we also need to track the whereabouts of the funds. That is the money contained in the e-wallets. We would like to collect more evidence to prove the relevant offenses committed by some unlawful elements. We also need to confirm that there is no sort of investment included. As I mentioned, 69 persons have been arrested. There are also some people who are at large. If need be, we'll work with and seek help from some overseas law enforcement agencies on tracking down on masterminds behind these cases. We'll continue to find out their whereabouts in lawful ways through bilateral collaboration and assistance from different law enforcement agencies overseas. We'll continue our efforts in this front. After Mr. Bill Tang speaks, I'll bring this agenda item to a close. Next, Mr. Perry Yu, please. Thank you, Chairman. From 2023's report published by the police, some traditional crimes have registered a decrease. We can see for scam cases, the increase cannot be curbed despite the efforts of the police. The tourism sector has some victims of scam cases. They may not be directly scammed, but reputation and manpower were also affected. Quite some travel agencies reflected to me that they were affected by some bogus websites, bogus posts. So quite a large number of people were involved in dealing with these issues. Some customers were scammed. I thank the police force for liaising with us. We put our minds together to see how we can mount publicity together in order to respond to the increase in these scam cases. Overall, in 2023, I'd like to know the number of scam cases, that is for bogus websites and posts regarding travel agencies. What was the time taken to remove these posts or websites off the internet? How many people were involved? What was the amount involved? I'd like to have figures from the police force. I'd also like the police force to tell us how the social media platforms can remove these websites and posts. CP. Thank you, Mr. Perry, for your question. First of all, regarding bogus websites and posts, in 2023, a total of 203 cases were recorded involving e-shopping. The total loss was $190 million. We, however, do not have any breakdown in relation to different cases about the loss recorded. On law enforcement, we from time to time conduct cyber patrol to combat different types of scam cases. When we identified any suspicious advertisements or posts, we'll in no time request the relevant advertisement providers or internet service providers to remove these bogus advertisements or websites. We will also proactively track down on the lawbreakers. In 2023, just to give you some figures, on different social media platforms, there were over 12,000 requests involving professional accounts and scam cases. Mr. Lai Tongkwa, please.
Thank you. I would like to follow up on the issue of online investment scams. There was the JPEX case last year, and it involved a significant loss. How will you work with the Securities and Futures Commission, FFC, to prevent similar incidents from happening, or at least to intervene early on? Thank you. Regarding our work with the SFC on the 28th of September 2023, we have set up a dedicated task force to enhance monitoring of online virtual asset platforms. In December, we have discussed further collaboration on the regulation of such platforms, and we have reached a consensus. Every week, for 2 times, we will exchange intelligence on a watch list. We will also report on the progress on investigation, and on the basis of the SFC's investigation, we will ask ISPs to block ads related to such platforms. The SFC will also update a list of suspicious platforms. Press releases will be issued if necessary. They will hold press conferences with the police. We will continue to mount publicity campaigns both online and offline. We will work with various stakeholders. We will enhance liaison on the relevant enforcement work. Regarding virtual assets, let me make this call here. When investing in virtual assets, citizens should know well the characteristics of such assets and the relevant risks. With some investments that come allegedly with low risks and high returns, it is just low risk, high return for the platform, but not for you. So you must be careful. Don't just believe in the influencers standing by these platforms. Do not download suspicious apps. As you can see, for investment scams, there was a significant increase last year. So regardless of the form of investment, online or offline, I would encourage the public to make good use of the anti-deception hotline 18222 as well as the scam meter. Ms. Elizabeth Court, thank you. There is indeed a significant number of deception cases. As said by the commissioner, some would engage influencers to stand for their platforms. There are also many bogus AI ads. There are different scams that are conducted online. Publicity and education are also important, but enforcement is the bigger part of it. So I want to know if the police have adequate manpower for cyber patrols. Would you employ AI or other forms of technologies to enhance the effectiveness of your cyber patrol to identify the relevant ads? It is said that the police would ask the relevant operators or internet service providers to block the relevant ads or remove the relevant ads. Would the police consider making it mandatory for the providers or operators to remove these ads in order to better protect citizens? Thank you for your questions. Indeed, there was a significant increase in the number of cases of online scams. As said earlier, the police would conduct random cyber patrols to combat such crimes. Should we identify ads that are scams, we will ask the ad operators to remove the ads as soon as possible. Most of the time, these ads will be removed within quite a short time frame. Excuse me, I don't remember the second part of the question. Well, there are many bogus ads involving the use of AI. What I can see that such ads being uploaded soon after they have been removed. So how will the police tackle such issue? Thank you. Right now, we have existing legislation that can deal with bogus messages. In this regard, we are studying the issue. We have completed the relevant study. We are looking into the findings and coming up with measures. We have drawn reference from overseas jurisdictions, for example, the disputes that arose, to see how we can implement the relevant legislation or measures in Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Shen Hailong. Thank you. We do need to better combat deception cases, and many new arrivals have fallen victim to the scams. We have over 100,000 people who have recently moved to Hong Kong, and counting their family members, it would amount to approximately 200,000 people. I have received double-digit number of complaints myself. When I asked them why didn't they report this to the police, they were worried that they would have communication barriers. So I believe the police should promote in both English and Putonghua the relevant information. So regarding the promotion of 18222, they may not know about that. So will you better promote the hotline to them? You can perhaps employ other platforms such as WeChat, allowing people to report incidents via WeChat. My second suggestion is that the police can use AI to make a mascot so that they can translate the relevant messages to English or Putonghua, and it will facilitate those who are nervous due to the communication barrier when reporting the crime. I would need to declare that I am myself an association for incoming talents, and I thank the police for giving an online briefing session with the Association to Combat Cybercrimes. So I hope that there will be more such sessions in future. I would like to thank Mr. Cheng Hai Long for your suggestions and your questions. We will definitely take note of the suggestions and consider them after the meeting. For the newly arrived, in the past 2 or 3 years, we did note that for some mainland students coming to Hong Kong, they would fall victim to certain scams where the crime syndicate would have someone pose as officials and they would be scammed out of their money. We have implemented promotional campaigns in response to this. In early last year, we have given a briefing session to approximately 1,000 mainland students on this. I have also talked to the new arrivals to see which platforms or channels we should use to disseminate information, and we have taken into account their suggestion that for a particular platform, we have used that. We will continue to make good use of this platform to disseminate information on combating crimes. That is the GTR.net. Thank you, Mr. Lam Sen Kung. I really think we need to combat deception cases. I can see that the police have done good work and they have made 200 odd arrests alone last week. We have a decrease of 48.2% to 35.2% of detection rate. Why is that? I also note an increase in the number of youths involved in crimes. Would you consider having undercover agents in schools to combat such crimes? Like what happened in the movie. Regarding detection rate, indeed, for deception cases, we can see that even in the rest of the world, they have seen a relatively low detection rate. That is because deception cases are cybercrimes. Often it would be some syndicate that is operating overseas, and we have noted that most of these syndicates are indeed not operating in Hong Kong. That's why we have a relatively low detection rate compared to other traditional types of crime. Regarding youth crimes, there were 30,041 of youth cases last year. It is indeed an increase from last year, approximately 10%. But we must emphasize that in 2022, we have a record low in a number of cases. But in 2023, it is a 12% decrease in the number of youth crimes from the 10-year average. Compared to 2022, there were 267 people arrested, in particular for deception cases. There were 3 major types of crimes. One is deception, the other is miscellaneous thefts or shop thefts. We have worked with youth workers. We have maintained close liaison with them. We have also been continuously liaising with the Education Bureau. As I said earlier, we have issued guidelines to teachers on potential crimes that students may commit. We have issued promotional materials to schools. And we take this in mind. We have to continuously implement the relevant promotional campaign. I understand the meeting is to end right now, but I'll let 2 other members finish asking questions. Thank you. Mr. Benson Luke.
Thank you, Chairman. Just now, I was meeting the press in relation to Basic Law Article 23 legislation public consultation. I have simple questions. On traditional crimes, there is a marked decrease, and I think this is commendable. We should commend the efforts of the police force. In relation to investment scams, there is a 1.2-fold increase. Whether online or offline deception cases, there are both overseas and local cases. If we need to detect overseas cases, that takes time as well as efforts. On local deception cases, what is the percentage out of the total number of deception cases? What is the detection rate of these cases? Regarding the second question, in paragraph 29 of the document, the most prevalent crime committed by youth people was deception. A total of 589 persons were arrested, a major increase from 2022. Can the administration elaborate on the type of scams? What are the precautions we can take? Recently, we have AI technology. There are many advanced technologies which can produce images bearing a strong resemblance with the face of somebody else. We can take a loan just with our face and our identity card number. What kind of forward-looking measures does the police have in order to tackle this problem? CP, please be succinct. Thank you, Chairman. Investment cases register a 1.2-fold increase compared with last year. Mr. Benson Look asked about the percentage of overseas and local deception cases. Well, however, I'm sorry we do not have a breakdown of these figures. After all, many deception cases transcend geographical boundaries. It might be quite difficult to determine whether a case is happening overseas or locally. In relation to youth crimes, as for deception cases, some young people were actually lured with money. They were told to lend their Stooge accounts to somebody else. Some young people even helped syndicates to collect money. There are these cases in relation to AI technologies. We estimate this will be the trend going forward. It will become more serious in the future. We'll step up cyber patrols. We'll also take legal action, enforcement actions. In August 2023, there were some examples. We mounted an operation in which we detected or cracked a local syndicate. It used AI technology. 7 people were arrested. They were arrested for the offense of conspiracy to defraud. Of course, we'll step up education publicity, but at the same time, all members of the public need to stay vigilant. There are many free tools as well as publicity, such as Scammeter app. Members of the public need to make full use of these tools. When more members of the public are willing to use these tools conservatively, deception cases can be reduced by 30% to 40%. Next, Mr. Bill Tang. Thank you, Chairman. I am now dealing with the mandatory reporting of child abuse bill. If this bill is successfully passed, many more people in the community will definitely go to report child abuse cases. The Social Welfare Department has responsibility, but the police also makes it clear that victims can actually report to the police. Child abuse cases are on the rise recently. Does the police force have sufficient manpower resources to deal with the situation when this piece of legislation is passed in the future? Thank you, Mr. Bill Tang, for your question. Indeed, on child abuse cases, last year in 2023, for child abuse cases, there were 663 cases going up to 690 odd, registering an increase of 3%. Another type of cases also rose from 578 to a total of 676 cases, an increase of 20% or so. Apart from prevention, education, internally within the police force, we have also stepped up training for police officers regarding the mandatory reporting of child abuse. In 2023, on the 2nd of June, it was gazetted on whether we have enough manpower. In 5 divisions, we have already enhanced manpower resources. So when the piece of legislation is passed, the establishment of teams responsible for child abuse will also see an increase of manpower. That is 1 police sergeant and 3 police officers. That will be sufficient to deal with the potential increase in child abuse cases. Thank you, members. All members have already spoken. I'll bring this agenda item to a close. Thank you, CP and his team. Any other business? No other business? This is the end of the meeting. Please come back at 3:30 to join the joint meeting. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.